Total War Warhammer was always a deal that was going to be a trilogy, and after the success of the first two and some, let's be honest, mediocre Total War games in the meantime, I think people are ready. They were really ready to come back to the Warhammer world, and finally we got it. The announcement of Total War Warhammer 3. So today I'm going to be looking through the trailer, analysing it and giving some of my opinions on why I think this could change everything for the Total War franchise. First of all, let's get this out of the way. Total War Warhammer 3 is very obviously focused on the Chaos factions. We saw the first one just giving us a base layer of what we could expect from Total War, easing us slowly into the franchise with the Empire, with the Orcs, factions that everyone knew. The second one started to push the boat a little bit, bringing in the Lizardmen, the Skaven, and finally they've gone full Chaos, which I think is what everybody has been waiting for. It looks like we're going to be seeing 6 new factions. 4 of them will be Chaos factions, which we'll be looking over through the trailer. Now, I'm not going to analyze every scene of the trailers, as I'm sure you'll have seen hundreds of videos from Total War YouTubers going over every tiny detail, so that's been done. Yet I'm going to point out some of the main things that I think are going to be game-changing that we haven't seen in a Total War before. Of course, we get hints of the Kislev, a very Slavic-inspired faction that will ground us in some sort of reality to, as we're about to see in the trailer, a very wacky and terrible world that they are creating in this Chaos realm. Of course, the Kingdom of the Kislev is sometimes known as the realm of the Ice Queen, and of course we can see Elsa here, marching towards the tent to get her orders to read a letter that has been left for her. She has to go and face her demons in the Chaos realms, and that's what we're going to be playing as in the game. Giving us these winged hussars that are of course, the Kislev Kingdom, gives us that sort of historical relation to someone that we can play as, a faction that we can defend against these oncoming terrors. We see, of course, the Chaos gods, the Nurgle, looking absolutely gruesome. I don't think I've ever seen a more disgusting depiction of this great unclean one, but my, does he look amazing. Khorne looks absolutely badass, and I think one of the main Chaos guys that I want to be playing as, with the big dragon-like troops and massive weaponry going over the top to the next level. Speaking of Khorne, we can see some of the Chaos Khorne units fighting against the Kislev. The Bloodletter infantry looking absolutely brutal, carving their way through the enemies, trying to defend against these Chaos hordes. Of course, we then see Elsa going up and confronting her demons. This looks to be some sort of bloodthirster type troop that is going to be one of the main baddies on the battlefield. Much like we got giants and spiders in the original Warhammer, this is going to be the equivalent here. One thing that I think is really interesting to see how they do it is the integration of the gods. Of course, we do have magic within the games, and that will be coming back for the third one, but how different is it going to be, especially with the Nurgle gods? This is going to be a very different game, I think, compared to the other Warhammers, just because of the factions they are using and the fighting styles and the play styles that they're going to implement. And of course, I did mention at the beginning that there will probably be 6 factions, and 4 of them are Chaos factions that we've already seen the gods of. Of course, the other faction is the Kislev, and there's one more that I haven't mentioned yet, and this is a hint of the Cathay, a very Chinese-inspired faction that, as you can see, the Jade Dragon there on the table very much hints to this, with the map indicating towards this region. They are going to be the other human-type faction that you're going to be able to use to defend, hopefully teaming up with the Kislev and taking on the Chaos demons. But this isn't going to be in the same world as the other 2 Warhammer games. We are going to the Chaos realms, and you can see this with the narration telling us that we have to go and face our demons. And it's been pretty much confirmed that it probably won't be in the same world, and this makes me wonder, how is this going to integrate into the other games? Because we do know the Mortal Empires update brought in Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2 into the same map, to this massive culmination of all the factions going to war with each other, and it was amazing. And they did mention that all 3 games would eventually be connected, but how are they going to do that if there's a Chaos realm? Maybe we're going to have some sort of Chaos portals, or they're going to find another clever way of integrating all these factions into one map eventually when that update releases. However, you probably didn't click on this for the analysis of the actual trailer. You've seen that in many videos that have already gone up. You clicked on this is because I think this probably changes a lot. We've seen some disappointments in the Total War franchise in the recent past. Total War Thrones of Britannia, it was fine, but it didn't quite live up to the standards that everyone loved of Total War. We saw the same with Troy as well, and it was a decent game, but there was a lot of setbacks, especially the Epic Games Store really put people off. And whilst I know and it's very much understood that Creative Assembly used the Sagas series to test things for their mainline series, I think it wasn't that greatly received. And whilst it sold well, that was because it was free. And because of this, the Total War series has been a little bit lackluster. I think the fans have been very much on the downhill, but I think this gives us hope. You see, for many reasons. I was more excited when they announced this, not because it was Total War Warhammer 3, because we already knew that was coming. It was always going to be a trilogy, but it was because I thought, what's next? You see, Creative Assembly have the license to Games Workshop, and Games Workshop do things a little bit differently with giving out their IPs. They pretty much will give it to anyone and just slap their sticker on it, and let's be honest, they don't have the best quality control when it comes to games. I mean, some of the Warhammer games are horrific. However, Total War has been a massive success, and it has only gone from strength to strength after bringing fantasy and the Warhammer series into the games. So what is next? They've done the trilogy that they set out to do. Now, they could hang up the mantle and give it up, but I don't see that happening. After all, Creative Assembly is a business, and of course, they can't make games unless they make money. And Total War Warhammer has been one of their best-selling series ever. Why would they stop it now? Now, I'm not expecting a Total War Warhammer 4. That would be ridiculous. But they have that license. Where else could they go with it? Of course, there'll be people saying they could go to 40k, and that would be incredible, but I don't really think that would work. You see, we have had gun warfare in the past with Napoleon and Empire, yet 40k is completely different, with fully automatic weaponry and having combat and tactics used that are completely different to anything that I think Total War could really convey. Whilst I think Total War 40k would be an incredible choice, I'm not sure how possible it is. But it's been proven that fantasy now works. And I know a lot of people are fed up and want to go back to the historical titles, but that's not how Creative Assembly will see it, really. They've managed to take what they made back in the 2000s, a historical game franchise, and take it to a fantasy setting. And there are so many different fantasy settings and possibilities that they could go to next. Now they've proven it could work. But not only that, but for the wider Total War franchise, this could be a big thing. You see, they've always been adamant at Creative Assembly that they don't want to make more than 2 games in a setting or a period. They've always said that they want to explore so many different periods that making more than 2 would just not be worth it. They want to move on to something new, and I think they probably think they've explored enough in that period, but Warhammer 3 is the first to get a trilogy. And whilst it has been a set contract from the beginning that they were always going to have a trilogy, this could maybe indicate that they might want to go further, take more of their settings and periods to the trilogy. Of course, you know where this leads. People have been wanting Medieval 3 Total War for who knows how long. It's been probably the most requested Total War of all time. And whilst I still think it's quite unlikely, I think this kind of raises the possibilities slightly. Now that they've been willing to go to that 3rd game in the series, would they do it with other settings? I don't think they'd probably do it with a Rome 3, because we've seen Attila. That's basically the trilogy. It's gone to a different setting, but with similar units and of course a similar time period, just a bit later on. But will this give Creative Assembly confidence? With the unfortunate lack of loyalty in the Total War series by its fan base at the moment, I think they need to do something big. They've got Total War Warhammer. They know that that's a safe bet. But after that is done, I think what comes after is more exciting, because they're gonna have to take risks. They're gonna have to push further, and they're gonna have to do things that they've never done before in the Total War franchise to keep it going. Because we've seen it dwindling. We've seen the fan base going downhill. And I think the only way for them to gain that back is to do something that no one expects. And that's why I think Total War Warhammer 3 is not just exciting because of its announcement, but because of what will come after. Please leave your speculations down below. I'd love to see what your opinions on this. Do you think that Creative Assembly are just going to carry on plodding along doing similar type games forever because they're still incredibly popular, or do you think that they need to take risks? And do you think that they will take the risks necessary in order to get that loyalty back to their fan base? Who knows? Please leave your comments down below and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Dislike it if you didn't. But until then, I will see you in the next one.